IPEF. Quite possible that you may have a question from this one. Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Okay, so what do we have in this particular aspect? Number one, in Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, it is an initiative led by the USA, which has members of the following order. Okay, let's take a look at this sense. The members of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework are the 4 Quad members, which are what you know already: Australia, USA, Japan and India. Okay, these are the 4 Quad members which are the members of the what you call IPEF. And then next that you have is members like the friends of Australia in this region, which is New Zealand and South Korea. Right, so you see these are the main, what you can say, the entities of the 6 what you can call members of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework: Australia, USA, Japan, India, New Zealand and South Korea. These are generally allies of what are known as the, what you can call, the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework Partnership. And then in addition to this, you have 7 ASEAN members. Right? So you have overall 10 ASEAN members, but out of these 10, 3 ASEAN members are not a part. Okay, so -3. What are the 3 ASEAN members which are missing from the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework? Myanmar, it is not a part of the IPEF. Laos is not a part of the IPEF, and Cambodia, it is not a part of the IPEF. So the remaining 7 ASEAN members, for example, Brunei Darussalam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, the entire presence of these countries in the ASEAN membership is a part of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. 3 countries within ASEAN which are not a participant of the Indo-Pacific Framework are Myanmar, Laos and Cambodia. Right, so this brings your total partnership with regard to the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. So just to get a sense of this, take a look at this. The participants of the ASEAN which are a part of the Indo-Pacific Framework. Okay, so Cambodia is not a participant. Okay, Myanmar is not a participant and Laos is not a participant. Apart from them, Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. Right, these countries are participants of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Cambodia, Myanmar and Laos, these are not participants of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Right, so you can take a look at the, what you can call, the membership of the IPEF. You have Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. What you don't have as participants are Myanmar, Cambodia and Laos. Right, in terms of the partnership in IPEF. So a very simple way of understanding the composition of IPEF is India, USA, Australia and Japan, who are Quad members. Other allies of USA in this area are the New Zealand and South Korea. So that is another 2 countries, and plus this you have 7 ASEAN nations. This is the entire composition of what is known as the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. I hope you understand the point with regard to its composition, right? And second thing that we can understand after composition is what is the objective of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, right? Now, let's say, for example, very simply, if we talk about the objective of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, first of all, it is not a free trade agreement. Okay, that is what you have to understand very clearly. Like the RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which is another initiative taken by the Chinese in the Indo-Pacific region. RCEP is a free trade agreement. Indo-Pacific Economic Framework is not a free trade agreement. Instead, it is what is called a economic framework, which creates the initial settings and conditions for a kind of a unified economic integration of this entire region under the leadership of the Americans. So that is what it means. It is not a free trade agreement. The objective of the Indo-Pacific. Point number B, with regard to the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, is that the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework has what you can say 4 pillars by which it is determined, right? So just like the PGII has 4 pillars by which it is determined, Indo-Pacific Economic Framework also has given for itself 4 pillars or 4 priority areas, right? Take a look at this. The first pillar of Indo-Pacific Economic Framework is trade pillar. Okay. The second is supply chain resilience. Okay. Third is climate change and decarbonization. And fourth is tax and anti-corruption. This is the entire kundali of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Please, class, it is the what you can call the economic structure which has been created by America for its control of the economies in the Indo-Pacific region, right? But you have to very clearly understand it is not a free trade agreement. And the 4 pillars of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework are trade, supply chain resilience, climate change and decarbonization, tax and anti-corruption, right? Now, if you take a look at, for example, very simply, India's position, now all of this is a part of the current affairs now. India's position on the IPEF, if you take a look at it. So with regard to India's position of the IPEF, India is a member of the trade pillar. I'm sorry. India has stepped out of trade pillar. India is not a member of the trade pillar of the IPEF. Okay, in 2022, India gave a decision that it will not participate in the trade pillar of IPEF in a way identifying discrimination which is going to be given to economies which are developing with regard to certain laws of climate change. And on the other hand, in 2023, India has signed an agreement on supply chain resilience with the Indo-Pacific. So this is the nature of India's participation. Okay, India is not a member of the trade pillar of the Indo-Pacific. It is a member of all the remaining three pillars. It is a member of the supply chain resilience, climate change and decarbonization, and tax and anti-corruption. It is a member of all these three, what you can say, pillars of the Indo-Pacific. And recently in 2023, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the Minister of Commerce and Industry has signed what is known as an agreement on supply chain resilience with the Indo-Pacific countries. So that's the important point about the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Okay, so just take a look at it. The organizations that we have completed in the Indo-Pacific are the Quad, the AUKUS, PGII, and the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Apart from this, the organizations like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, NATO, Arctic Council, the architecture of the nuclear organizations in the European and the American and the Russian activities, all of these have been so importantly, emphatically resounded in the current updates last time that you are surely to have some kind of an activity with regard to current affairs in the prelims questions.